Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 4 of Surf Simply's strength training for surfing. Today what we're going to go through are a couple of moves that hopefully will help build your body strength for when you're catching the waves and getting to your feet. So when we get to our feet, we want to go ahead and have balance, of course. That's going to help us stay on that wave for longer. We want to have ankle flexibility and stability. So we're going to be doing a lot of single leg movements in this series. Again, coming back to that core, I think core is so important. And we're going to do a little bit of cardio, and of course, we want to get these trunks really nice and strong, so we're going to do some movements that are going to help build that leg strength. So the first movement that we're going to go through is a lunge. Okay? Now, we did a lunge with a thoracic twist in the first episode. What we're going to go through today is different variations of a lunge. So we're going to be working a lot with just single leg movements. And what I like about that is it's going to help you stabilize that ankle. So the first lunge we're going to go through is our reverse lunge. Okay? So instead of with the thoracic twist where we were stepping forward into that 90-degree angle, we're going to now be stepping backwards as we do this movement. Okay? So I'm going to start by stepping my right leg back. My feet initially are going to start about hip distance apart. I'm stepping my right leg back. I'm going into that 90-degree angle in my front leg, 90-degree angle in my back leg. I'm then going to step my weight back forward. Okay? Alternating to my left leg. Again, we're going to want to stabilize using that ankle joint, and we're going to keep that 90-degree angle. Torso is going to be nice and straight. Okay? So that's going to be our reverse lunge where we're stepping back from the side. What that looks like, again, feet are hip distance apart, stepping my weight back 90 degrees, chest nice and straight, everything's in alignment, stepping forward, again, stepping back with that opposite leg, coming back forward. Okay? What's really cool about this is if we want to go ahead and evolve the movement, we can then go from doing our reverse lunge, stepping back, to a forward lunge. Stepping forward, stepping back, stepping forward. And then you can alternate between the legs. So again, left leg's going to be my stabilizer. We're going to step back with that right leg, step forward with the right leg. All the while, we're keeping that 90-degree angle between the legs. This is, again, going to help you stabilize. It's going to help you balance. Okay? So that's how we can start to combine those two lunges together. Again, we're not doing anything with weight. We're not doing anything with any sort of assisted bands. This is all just body weight movements that you can do to help build your muscling. So we did our reverse lunge. We combined it with reverse lunge to forward lunge. Now what we're going to talk about doing is our curtsy lunge. So instead of stepping straight back as we did with our reverse lunge, you're going to step off to the side like you're doing a curtsy. So my right leg is going to be my stabilizer. I'm going to step my left leg back and off to the side behind my right leg. Now I'm still going to have that 90-degree angle, and I'm going to be now working a bit more of my glute medius in this movement and my hip. So I've stepped back. I'm going to come back through. Legs are a bit wider than hip distance. My right leg's going to step off to the side. Again, 90-degree angle. I'm then going ahead and still stabilizing with that ankle. I'm balancing through this front leg. Not a ton of weights on my back leg. And so you can just go ahead and alternate between the two and get a little bit more movement with this lunge, okay? So again, we're going to be working that hip joint. We're going to be working the ankles in doing that motion, okay? The final lunge that we're going to go through in this series of lunges is our lateral lunge. We worked on it a bit in episode 2. And what that looks like is you're going to start with your feet hip distance apart. You're going to step that right leg off to the side. Foot's going to stay nice and parallel. You're sending your hips back. You want to keep your chest nice and straight. We're going to then come back to center, swapping over. Okay? As you first start these, you can start off doing them really nice and slow. Make sure your form and your technique is really good. As you get more and more proficient, you can then add weight to this. You can add a little bit more speed to this, okay? So again, we're sending that hip back. Our weight's going to be in the foot that we're stepping out, and our feet are going to stay nice and parallel to each other. So those are going to be those lunges that are going to help build that ankle stability. Again, we're using single leg movements, so that way you're helping your balance too. You may start to find that one side stronger than the other. That's okay. What we want to try to do is balance those two sides out. The next exercise we're going to go through is a single leg deadlift, okay? So you can also call these airplanes. You're going to shift your body weight onto one foot or the other. I'm going to shift my body weight onto my left foot. So I've loaded my left foot. I can now lift my right leg off the ground without too much of an issue, okay? So my weight is now in my left leg. I'm going to send my right leg back. And I'm going to come down with a flat back and try to reach my right arm down and then come right on back up with that flat back. Notice how my right leg is no longer touching the ground. I'm going to just keep my weight into that left foot. Again, coming back down, trying to bring my chest to face that ground. Nice flat back, my right leg's nice and straight out. And then I'm going to come back up. And I'm going to switch legs. So now my weight is loaded onto my right leg. My left leg no longer has the foot on the ground. I'm going to send my leg back, hinging at my hips, nice flat back. I can try to go ahead and reach with that right arm a little bit, and then coming back up. Now they're called airplanes sometimes because, again, we can go ahead and keep our hands out to the sides as we go through this movement. You can see how my ankle is going ahead and stabilizing as I'm on this one leg, okay? So again, from the side, what does my back look like? What do I want to look like? I'm going to shift my weight over to my right leg, put all my weight onto that right foot. I'm going to have my hands out to the side. I'm going to hinge over my back. My left leg is going to be straight. My back is straight. My neck is nice and neutral. Hands are out. I'm stabilizing, coming back up, back down. So this is going to help you build into those hamstrings. It's going to help build that stability. As you get more and more proficient at these, if you want to add weight, you can. And that's where that opposite hand to the foot comes into play, where you can then have that weight in your right arm to your left foot, coming back up, helping you stabilize from that position. If you don't want to use weight, again, hands can come out to either side, nice flat back. You're trying to engage that glute as you're coming up through this movement. So that's our second movement. Those are going to really help you apply pressure on either the toe or the heel and really feel those stabilizer muscles in your ankles, okay? The next movement that I have for you is what I call a plank with a side-to-side jump. Now, what these are going to simulate a little bit more are our turtle dives, which I know quite a few of you have learned to love. And if you don't know what a turtle dive is, when you come to Surf Simply, you'll figure it out. So we're going to come into our high plank position here. Love those high planks. Core's nice and engaged. And so in a previous episode, we ended up jumping our feet into our hands. This time, instead of jumping our feet into the middle, we're going to try to jump our feet off to the side up by our hands. So what does that look like? I'm going to jump my feet up off to my right, and then I'm going to jump my feet back to center. Jump my feet up off to my left, jump my feet back into center, okay? So coming up to the right, center, left, center. Every time I want you to reset in plank. We're going to go ahead and hold that core, then explode up forward, explode back, explode up forward, explode back. Now some of you might not be able to explode and jump up to that hand, right? So what we can go ahead and do, step up to the side, step back, step up to the opposite side, step back. You can lead with your right foot on this side, lead with your left foot on the left side, okay? So again, we can build up to being able to jump up to our hands, and if we can't at the moment, we can step up, leading with that same foot to the same side that you're moving to. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to do is a variation on the burpee that we call the surfy. Okay, so what it is you're essentially doing a pop-up. We really do want to practice getting to our feet and popping up into that functional stance as much as we can, because that's going to really simulate us catching that wave and riding it, even if we're not on it. So what's a surfy? We're going to come down into that burpee position, right? But the difference being, as we pop up into this surfy, instead of jumping straight up, we're going to jump up with one of our feet in front into that functional stance. So what does the surfy look like? It's going to be broken down into the same 4 pieces that burpee is, but instead of jumping straight up, we're going to jump up into that functional stance. So starting with our legs square, we're going to come down, push up. Notice the body rotation as I come up. Here I'm not jumping like I did with the burpee. I'm popping up into that functional stance. So if I do it on one side, I got to do it on the other, balancing my body out. So I'm going to come back down, kick my feet out, do my push-up, coming back up, holding that functional stance. Coming back down, push-up, opposite. So what's great about this is until it becomes normal, you can go ahead and pause and adjust yourself into that functional stance. So the other thing you want to make sure of is you're bringing that weight into that front leg. This is where body awareness comes into play and balance comes into play. We don't want to pop up shifting our weight back. I want you to try to go ahead and do this surfy, keeping that weight into that front foot. So let's do 2 more examples of it. We're going to drop down, hands framing that front foot, kicking the feet back. I'm pushing up and immediately jumping up, weight staying in that front foot. I'm staying compressed, coming back down, pushing up. Left foot comes forward, staying compressed, and then coming back down. As you can see, I'm starting to breathe fairly heavily. It's a great cardio workout. It's also going to help you facilitate that body movement for your pop-up. The final movement that I want to go ahead and introduce is not necessarily a new movement. What we're going to talk about is combining movements now. So when we're catching a wave, we're pretty out of breath from the standpoint we've been paddling quite hard to get into it. And then we have to pop up to our feet. So what can simulate that? Well, I'm on the ground. I can go ahead and then elevate my heart rate by doing some mountain climbers and then going into that surfy. So this is where you can start to get creative with your workouts and start to build that anaerobic work in with our strength training, or get that cardiovascular work going with that strength training. So what does that look like? I'm going to come down into my mountain climber position, my high plank, and let's say I do 20 mountain climbers. Here we go. I'm then going to go right back into my surfy position, popping up, holding here, going right back down, mountain climbers again. So you can start to incorporate this into your workout where you're alternating between mountain climbers and surfies, and start building this into your repertoire. So you're then building that cardio in while you're getting that burpee surfy practice. As always, I hope that you found some of these movements cool and exciting and that you can start to incorporate them into your workouts. I'll hopefully see you again next week, and have a great day.